Hello, and welcome back to another Chris McPherson Show Daily Dose as we look to recap the day session and day 3 of the Australian Open, a little bit of the overnight action from the close of day 2, and unpack what is lying ahead on day 4 as we get underway in the second round of the men's and women's singles for the 2026 Australian Open. As always, we'd love it if you could hit like on the video. Get involved in the comments and let us know what your hot takes are from the Oz Open so far. Who do you see emerging, making a run, or who have we got absolutely out of kilter when we talk about our preview and predictions? Get involved and hit subscribe on the channel to keep up to date with all of our tennis content plus much, much more. And speaking of much, much more, you can find much more content across at our Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X channels. You can find them all under the one handle, at The Chris Mack Show. And you can keep up to date with plenty of snippets as well as the full episodes here on YouTube. But let's get underway talking about what's happened in the last 24 hours or so since we last recorded, and there's been a little bit of action in terms of seeds dropping. This time around, it's been the men's seeds falling more significantly. There's been 5 seeds that have gone down so far in the last little bit, including overnight, where we saw Yuri Lehechka defeated by Arthur Gaya from France, 7-5, 7-6, 7-5. Today, we've seen Talon Griekspoor defeated by the American Ethan Quinn, 2-3-2. It's a big result for Quinn. Obviously, plenty of pedigree and talent, and he is looking to move his way up the world rankings with a good run here in Melbourne. And João Fonseca, the young Brazilian who was so hyped, so anticipated and so exciting, he clearly was not fit and healthy in this match. He did get the second set against Elliot Sposiri from the US, who's been in good form in the lead-up, but went down in for 6-4, 2-6, 6-1, 6-2, fading out in the third and fourth. And it's certainly going to be back to the drawing board for the young Brazilian as he tries to get his body right to compete and continually turn up with the rigours of the ATP Tour. On the women's side, Leylah Fernandez went down to Yanis Chen, 6-2, 7-6. A fairly straightforward win for Chen, and she continues to put her name up in lights at different occasions throughout the year, and it's on the improve. So a name certainly to watch. So there's 4 seeds fallen. I did say 5, but we're going to have to trickle over to Aussie Watch to find the 5th. Starting overnight, though, on Aussie Watch, Alexei Popyrin went down in a disappointing result for him, bowing out in the first round. Speaking of disappointing, Maya joined her first Grand Slam tournament as a seeded player, and she has bowed out to the Czech Teresa Valentova, 6-4, 6-4, 8 double faults. Her serve was absolutely letting her down today, and it's an area she needs to work on. We know that backhand is absolutely magnificent, but it's not much good if it hasn't got a serve to get alongside. So that's going to be an area she's going to have to work on. Valentova is a name that we certainly should be watching as we go forward, though. I think she's got a fairly high ceiling, and I wouldn't be surprised to see her pushing up towards the seedings very quickly, especially if she can, chalk together another win or 2 here in Melbourne and see what she can do over February and onwards. Speaking of Aussie Watch, though, it wasn't all bad news on the women's side. It was actually some good news for Taylor Preston, who we talked about yesterday, and I thought Shui Zhang would do the same job she did in Brisbane, but Preston's turned things around. A 3-set battle, 6-3, 2-6, 6-3, advancing through to the second round and being part of the best cohort of Australian women since 1992. 34 years in terms of the number of women pushing into the second round, which is wonderful to see. And that's with more women in action tonight. So certainly really exciting. We've got Madison Inglis versus Kim Birrell, which means we'll be guaranteed another one. And Daria Kazatkina versus Nicola Bartonkova. So looking forward to seeing those ladies in action later tonight as we go along after we record. On that, Christopher O'Connell was another one that bit the bullet today. He went down in 5 sets to Nishesh Basaf-Reddy from the US. So that was a bit disappointing for O'Connell, getting the first set, losing the second, winning the third, and it looked like they were trading sets when Basaf-Reddy got the 4th, but then he backed it up and got the 5th as well to knock out O'Connell and back to the drawing board for him. It wasn't quite the case, though, for Dane Sweeney, who knocked off 37-year-old Grand Slam superstar and veteran Gael Monfils. He came back from a set down to win that one in 4. Really impressive from him, so great to see. The other Aussie in action, James Duckworth, is currently up a set and on serve in the second as we record. But by the time you see this, you may well know exactly what's happened there. So hopefully Duckworth can go on with that and continue on our cast of Aussie men getting through. We've got a few of them heading through into the second round, headlined by obviously Alex de Minaur. But we will wait and see what comes, I guess, next in terms of the Aussies and their action. But speaking of Aussies, let's have a look at the Aussies to watch. And let's start with that man, Alex de Minaur, who will get his second round underway tomorrow night on Rudlaver Arena. He'll take on Hamad Medjedovic, the 90th ranked Serb. So that's going to be an interesting one for him. Yet to play these two. So Medjedovic has spent a little bit more time on court in a 4-set opening win over Mariano Navone from Argentina. We saw Alex de Minaur getting it done quite clinically against Mackenzie McDonald. Again, I think de Minaur should be pretty comfortable in this one. Needs to keep pushing on, get these done in straight sets. It's the highest he's been seeded, it's highest he's been ranked. We want to see him keep marching on, keep pushing forward, and maybe making a bit of a record-breaking run here in the Oz Open, because that would be wonderful to see. He's only made it to the quarterfinals once, which was last year. We'd love to see him go to the semifinals and beyond this time around, but we will wait and see how he can go. Still a lot of water to go under that bridge, but I've got de Minaur taking this one in straight sets. This next one, I'm probably not as favourable here. Young American up-and-comer, 18-year-old Iva Jovic coming up against Priscilla Hon. Now, we know that Hon got a strong win in her first-round match against Marina Stakusic. She had it basically in the bag when Stakusic retired in the third set. Jovic, on the other side, dismantled her countrywoman Katie Volinets 2 and 3. And to be fair, her game, well, it doesn't look like it's quite fully polished or fully finished. I think it's one that's going to push up towards the top 10 very quickly, and she's going to start to make her way up past some of her countrywomen, the likes of Emma Navarro and co, with the form that we saw in the first round. I think, again, you might shoot me down for being pessimistic on the Aussies here. We obviously saw what happened earlier today, but I am going to go Iva Jovic to win this one in straight sets. I think Hon might be able to push her in the first set, but I think the class of Jovic will be too strong, the American 18-year-old. Plenty of Aussies in action, though, in terms of the women's. We've also got Isla Tomljanovic, the 32-year-old experienced player. She's been as high as 32 in the world. She's 78th in the world, and she comes up against the world number 79, Elena Rusa. So this will be a good matchup for these two. They've played twice before. They are 1-1. The last time they played, Tomljanovic got it done in Hong Kong in October 2024, so about 15 months ago. 7-5, 6-3, and Rus got it done way back against Tomljanovic, way back in February 2022 in Dubai. So, look, Rus has probably got a better track record in recent times on the hard courts and had a really good win over Diana Yastremska in the first round, while Tomljanovic had to work into 3 sets to get to pass Yulia Starobdutseva of Ukraine. So both getting wins over Ukrainians in the first round. Tomljanovic to spend a little bit more time on court. I'm going to go with the Aussie pride. I'm going to go Isla Tomljanovic to get this one done in 3 sets. I don't think it'll be all smooth sailing, but let's see if she can get it back to the wall, get into the grind, and get it happening. Next up, Talia Gibson takes on the seeded Diana Schneider. This will be a tough one for the rising Aussie star. Gibson was obviously impressive, beating Blinkova in the first round 1 and 3. While for Diana Schneider, seeded player, she had a tough battle against Barbora Krejcikova, the Czech handful, going 2-6, 6-3, 6-3, coming back from a set down. Look, that was Gibson's first win of the season, and again, I don't want to write her off too much here, but there is a big difference in ranking when we have a look at these two. Almost 100 ranking places, and there's a reason for that. Schneider is on the rise. Gibson, also 21. Look, I think she's building towards something and can probably push her way into the top 100 if she continues the sort of form we saw in the first round here. But it's going to take a big effort here from her against Schneider. The power of Diana will be too much, and I've got Schneider winning this one in straight sets. I think it'll probably be 6-3, 6-2, something like that. Probably only give up 5 or 6 games. Next up, we move to the men's, and we get Jordan Thompson off the back of that first round win against Juan Manuel Cerundolo. He comes up against Nuno Borges, who got past a retiring Felix Auger-Aliassime 3-6, 6-4, 6-4. So he's 2 sets to 1 up at the point. Borges has a 3-0 record over Thompson, including knocking him out in the 2025 Australian Open in the second round. So Borges in good form. I'm still not convinced that Thompson is fully healthy, but he's a gritty competitor. I'm going to go Borges to get this one done in 4-3-1, the 46th ranked player. Both have got similar peaks in their rankings. Borges a little younger. Similar sorts of careers when you have a look at it. Thompson at his best, probably a slightly better hardcourt player, but he hasn't been at his best in the last 18 months. So that's my big question, whereas Borges seems to be getting better with time. I'm going to get Borges to take this one in 4. We move on now into Hayley Baptiste up against Storm Hunter. So another Aussie female in action. And with this one, Hunter has spent quite a bit of time on court as a qualifier, but made short work of her last match. So hopefully that's freshened her up, getting past Burzes Monero 6-4, 6-4. Whereas for Baptiste, she had to get past her countrywoman Taylor Townsend in 3 sets, 6-3, 6-7, 6-3. So this is an interesting one. On the absolute surface of it, Baptiste should get this done. She's ranked, a couple of hundred spots higher than Storm Hunter. She's got a much higher ceiling so far. Hunter is a bit more of a veteran, I suppose. She's come back from that Achilles injury. But I'm just seeing that she might ride this wave a little bit here and see that there's an opportunity to take down Baptiste. They've only ever played once before, and that was on clay in Rome last year in the qualifiers. So I'm not taking too much from that. Hunter's game not as suited to clay. So I'm actually going to go Storm Hunter to get this one done in 3. I think there's a chance she upsets Baptiste and makes a little bit of a run here to the third round. She has been there once before back in 2024. So let's see her match her best ever run here at the Oz Open. Moving on now, and the matches not to miss. We've got Alexander Muller versus Alexander Zverev. Zverev leads a 2-1 head-to-head. Muller had hard work in his first round match, getting past Alexei Popyrin, as we said, in 5 sets, 2 tie breaks in the 4th and 5th to get it done. While for Zverev, a little blip in the first set before absolutely wiping the court with Gabriel Diallo. He accelerated through that 6-7, 6-1, 6-4, 6-2. A wonderful job for him there. Last time they did play in May 2025 when Zverev was far from the best of his form in Hamburg. Muller got it done, but the 2 previous times in 24 and 25 at the US Open and in Munich, Zverev was the man who got the chocolates. And I think that game in Flushing Meadows in 2024 is probably our best marker here. And Zverev's in very different form to what he was early last year. So I'm going to go Zverev to get this done in straight sets. I think he'll have learnt from his Diallo conundrum of dropping the first set, and I think he will see this draw opening up, be eyeing off Daniil Medvedev when he gets to the quarterfinals and looking to march on from there. Next up, we've got the 14th seed in Alejandro Davidovich Fokina up against Riley Opelka, the big, booming American. One match previously in a head-to-head between these two. Both of them are known for long matches. It was at the Atlanta Open back in 2024 when Fokina was a seeded wild card up against Riley Opelka and got it done in straight sets. I'm not taking too much from that. Both have similar records this year and last year in terms of percentage wins on clay. I'm going to go Davidovich Fokina to take this one in 5 sets. I think Opelka can take him deep on Kia Arena tomorrow afternoon, and I'm really looking forward to this one. I think it'll be a great match to watch. But I'm going to go Davidovich Fokina in 5 sets. So we'll have a look at what comes there. Next up, the American qualifier, Michael Zhang, the man who may well not be able to take his prize money, coming up against the human theatre that is Corentin Moutet, the 32nd seed. Moutet made short work of his first match of the year, getting past Aussie Tristan Schoolkate in straight sets. As we said, Zhang has had to absolutely work to get through qualifying 2 3-set wins to close it out. And then a 5-set victory. He won the first 2 sets before dropping 2 sets, including a tiebreak that he lost to Love before finishing off against Seb Korda 6-3 in the 5th set. So really impressed with that. Look, I think Zhang is going to do a good job to challenge Moutet here, and he could frustrate him. But I think Moutet will do enough to get it done here. He'll claim this in 4 and march through to the 3rd round and continuing on, and maybe, just maybe for him, continuing on and extending beyond his best run, which was last year here, where he got to the 3rd round in 2025. They want to be on court 5 at about 4 o'clock Australian Eastern Daylight Time. The final of our men's matches, it'd be remiss of us not to talk about Carlos Alcaraz up against Yannick Hanfmann, ranked 102 in the world. This one's pretty clear-cut. Alcaraz with a 2-0 head-to-head record. Last time they met was way back in 2023. Again, not taking too much from those, just taking plenty from what Alcaraz did in his first match, not under Juan Carlos Ferrero's coaching in his pro career. But again, Alcaraz to get this one done. I think he'll be pretty straightforward. Hanfman had a win over Zach Saveda in the first round. Not a lot, again, to take from that. Alcaraz knocked out Aussie Adam Walton as expected, but this will be an Alcaraz straight sets victory and marching on Rod Laver in the afternoon. Moving over to Margaret Court Arena tomorrow night, we're going to talk Mira Andreeva, the 8th seed, up against Maria Sakkari. This is an interesting one. Sakkari, former world number 3, plenty on the line here, and I think this will be a good clash. Sakkari's shown some good form earlier this year with the United Cup, beating Osaka and Raducanu. She then had a bit of a blip on the radar in Adelaide, losing to Daria Kazatkina, but then getting past Leolia Jean-Jean in the first round here pretty comfortably, while Andreeva had to work hard after dropping a set to Donna Vekic and then blew her away 6-love in the final set. I think Andreeva's form in the lead-up, that not dropping a set, winning Adelaide, some good form in Brisbane as well before she lost to Marta Koscheck. We're starting to see some good tennis from her. We know what her ceiling is. We just want to see her achieve it. She broke out here 2 years ago and is getting better for it as she continues on. So we'll see what she can do here. I'm going to go Mira Andreeva to get this one done in straight sets, but it won't be quite the blitz that she finished those last 2 sets against Donna Vekic with. I think Sakkari's going to make it challenging for her. Maybe something like 7-5, 6-4 to Andreeva. We now move on to Magdalena Frech, the 57th ranked, coming up against Yasmin Paolini, the 8th seed. This should be, the 7th seed. This should be an interesting one. A 1-1 record. Paolini has the wood on her on hard courts, which was back in 2023. Both their clashes, both in straight sets. Certainly Paolini's game really well suited to the hard courts now. She's really developed that and grown it after probably having a better start to her career on clay and natural surfaces. So, looking forward to seeing this. I think Paolini will be strong. I think Frech is going to challenge her and may well take it to 3 sets. I'm on the fence here. I'm going to go to Paolini in 3, but I historically and perennially always underrate Jasmine Paolini for some weird reason. So I won't be surprised to see her do it in straights. But we'll go Jasmine Paolini to get this one done in 3. Frech maybe comes out of the blocks a little bit harder here for mine. The penultimate match to talk about is Yulia Putintseva up against Elsa Jackimot. They've played once before, just on the clay courts in 2023. So again, not a lot to take from that. Certainly Putintseva a much stronger hard court record in the last 3 or 4 years. She got a good 3-set win over Beatrice Haddad-Meyer in the opening round, while Jackimot was quite a surprise winner, knocking out Marta Koscheck, who'd played some good tennis earlier in the lead-up in Brisbane, etc. So that's a question for me. That was a bit of a surprise. So can Jackimot continue here against the 94th ranked Yulia Putintseva? Obviously, Putintseva, an experienced player. She's got 3 titles on the main tour. She's been up in the top 20 of the world before. I think Jackimot will challenge her, the 22-year-old, but I think the experience of Putintseva will get her home in 3 sets. And last but not least, we have Anastasia Potapova, now out of Austria after a change of country allegiances, coming up against Emma Raducanu. For those of you who saw Emma Raducanu's new number 1 Aussie fan, who will be in her corner for this one when it gets underway on ANZ Arena tomorrow afternoon. Look, both these guys have had sort of up and down starts to the year. If we start with Potapova, she beat Kazatkina in the first round in Brisbane, then lost to Schneider, lost in the last round of qualifying in Adelaide, then got through as a lucky loser, only to be knocked out by Kim Birrell. But got past Susan Lamens in 3 sets, but wasn't convincing in the first round here. And then we have a look at, Emma Raducanu. She, went down to Maria Sakkari at the United Cup. I keep going to call it the ATP Cup. And then got through the first and second rounds, including knocking over Magdalena Frech in Hobart before falling to Taylor Preston, and then got past the tie in Swankyo pretty convincingly in the first round here. So, look, Potapova's definitely got a decent ceiling. We know that she's been as high as 21 in the world. But I think Raducanu's in some good form. She's playing well. I'm going to get her to get this done in straight sets. Wouldn't surprise me if Potapova does take a set off her, but I'm going to lean to straight sets for Raducanu. So looking forward to seeing what this day offers up as we push forward into day 4 and head forward from there into the rest of the second round and on from there. So looking forward to all of the tennis action to come. And looking forward to coming back to talk to you plenty more about tennis, cricket, and everything else that's dropping over the coming days. The best way to be kept up to date is to hit subscribe. We'd love it if you gave the video a like. Get involved in the comments. Let us know which tips we've got wrong, which tips you see going a different way, and who's on the emergence, who's rising up these rankings through the Australian Open. Until next time, a big thanks to you for tuning into your home of the black and white of sports. No grey opinions here on the Chris McPherson Show.